Cool.
And yes, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever part of the world you are in right now. And welcome to the April 2021 OpenShift Meetup. I'm Joseph Tejal, and I'll be your host for today. We hope everyone is going well, and we are nearing the weekend. And just like that, April is gone, and next week it's gonna be May. So I think everyone's looking forward to this weekend. Yeah. Joining me today, of course, is Mike Calizo and Andrew Spurgeon, the familiar faces of OpenShift Meetup. Hey, Mike, Andrew, what's up?
Oh, there's
Hey,
always lots going on. Busy, busy.
hey, Joseph. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
I think busy is always good. Keeps you on your feet and whatnot.
Of
So,
course.
just a bit of housekeeping for everyone. As you all know, we are recording this session, and the link will be shared with all of you when it becomes available. So, hopefully within the day.
Absolutely.
And let's make everything interactive, just like the usual face-to-face meetup that we had before. Chat and comments are in the chat section towards the right side of your screen. And go ahead, test it out now actually by saying hi and tell us where you're from, where you're dialing from right now.
That's
Yeah,
right.
let's see.
So yeah,
Yeah, type
cool.
there.
So we have a very interesting topic today, Joseph. GitHub Actions and how GitHub is Actions going to integrate it with OpenShift platform. And I myself is really excited to see the demo that our guest is going to show us today.
Yeah, Mike, and it would be nice as well to see how we can leverage the existing OpenShift GitHub Actions, and not just the existing ones, but we can even customize our own GitHub Action scripts for Red Hat OpenShift. So that's definitely exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Cool.
hold on, let me just remind everyone, Mike, Red Hat Summit is actually happening right now in the US of A, and it's all virtual. So
Mm.
for everyone in New Zealand and Asia Pacific, you can still register and watch all this session in demand in your own free
Yes.
time. So whenever you're relaxing in the afternoon or probably on your next lunch break, you can watch all these demos. I've seen a few of them, and it's really nice to hear the demos, some cool demos out there, and also the
Mm.
keynotes on some of our customers, and of course our CEO and also the IBM CEO, Arvin. So make sure you guys
Mm.
sign up because it's all free.
Yeah.
And one of the
And
key announcements, Mike, is that the Red Hat OpenShift Platform Plus. What do we know
absolutely.
about this so far, Mike? And
Before I go here, Joseph, I think
hmm,
it's good for us to mention that one of our local government private companies, a semi-government, the EPL,
yeah,
uh, actually is a candidate to win an award for Innovation Award of the Year. So,
yeah.
if you guys have still time to vote, vote for that. We'll share the link later on
No, I think the voting
in
is
there.
over, but they did
Oh, the
win for
voting is over.
the
Okay.
they did win for
All
the
right.
Innovator of the Year for Asia Pacific. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is really
cool.
cool. So it's quite good.
Awesome. Yeah. Anyway, that shows that I was not able to catch up on everything in the summit
Yeah,
because there's
it's a
so
lot
much,
happening. Eh?
there's so much announcement, and
Mm.
one of those announcements that I'm going to share actually is about the OpenShift Platform Plus. So this is a new edition of the OpenShift platform. To actually, the purpose of this is to give customers a single hybrid platform that enables innovation without limitation. That's the tagline, which allow enterprise to build, deploy and run and manage intelligent application more securely at scale. And I'm going to talk about security and at scale as well in the next slide. But OpenShift Plus is now going to be added as part of the offering. It's basically, will be behaving uh, a different SKU for you to get that capability or features. Go to the next slides, please, Joseph. So this OpenShift Plus uh, puts in the context of the entire stack solution. And its solution in the edition has, of course, a specific function, and it's built on everything that comes before it. So, you know, we know that in 4 we introduce the goodness of day 2 operation because of the introduction of immutable architecture. We added on top of that the likes of ACM or Red Hat uh, uh, advanced cluster management that allows you to make sure that your clusters adhere to the governance and security standard that you have, but also enables you to move and port application around multiple cluster because of the Argo CD on introduced as part of the features of our ACM. ACS or Stack Racks basically gives you a security on your CI/CD pipeline. Stack Racks was purchased by Red Hat about a month ago, and we're very excited to announce that because with Stack Racks, your OpenShift platform will have a really strong multi-cluster security and management that you can use for your enterprise application deployment. And of course, another features that is added here is basically the Quay. So in OpenShift Plus, when you purchase that SKU or subscription, you'll get Red Hat Quay as well as part of the subscription. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I mentioned about hybrid cloud earlier. So if you think about it, you can now deploy OpenShift in on-prem, but also you can deploy OpenShift in AWS, which basically a managed by Red Hat and AWS team. We call it ROSA. We also have OpenShift on Azure. We call it Arrow, and of course there is also ROCs, which we call it in IBM Cloud. And there is a Red Hat dedicated OpenShift running on Google Cloud. This means that you can put your workload anywhere in the public cloud, the 4 major public cloud, or on-prem. And you will have that ability to actually move around workload because you have a single platform that will basically make sure that you don't have a lock-in on each public cloud. And that's basically my update here, Joseph.
Sweet. Thanks very much for that, Mike. And it's not just OpenShift that's happening on the Red Hat Summit. There's a whole ton more where if you're into automation, middleware, pretty much everything Red Hat, there's a lot of sessions available for you on the Red Hat Summit. So make sure you register now. Thanks for that, Mike, again. And alrighty, on to our speaker today. Today we will be joined by no other than Brian Jimin Son, all the way from Texas, US of A. Brian was a former consultant at Red Hat who specializes both in OpenShift application development and also in the infrastructure space. But now he is now an OctoCat at GitHub. So you may actually have come across some of his articles because he writes a lot for websites like opensource.com and different Red Hat blogs and platforms. So before Red Hat, he worked at Citi, American Airlines, IBM, Home Depot, Austin Technology, and various startups as a full stack web developer and a tech lead. And wow, he's also the president, founder, and CTO of a nonprofit association called KAITA, which is a Korean American IT Association group. So that's kaita.org if you want to find out more. So surely he will tell us more about that. Hello, Brian. Are you there yet?
Hey, hello, New Zealand. Hello, Mike and Joseph. Mike is a very good friend of mine. I knew it from the Red Hat for a long time, involved with opensource.com and a number of different things. But yeah, really glad to see you and meet you all. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
I think
OpenShift
we should
Meetup.
also. you mentioned opensource.com, Brian. I think we should also advertise that because you are a correspondent, I am a correspondent, and I think Joseph is also writing. So what
Yeah.
we're trying to do is we want to encourage people to contribute in in opensource.com and contribute awesome articles that the wider community can actually
It's
read and
it's
use as
actually true.
reference.
It's actually
Yeah.
true, Mike. And as you mentioned, I also write for something called Enable Sysadmin at the Red Hat website. And that's
Yeah,
not exclusive for Red Hatters. There's actually a lot of writers and contributors in there who write something about real life situations, about some of their problems, some of the nifty scripts they've written. And you
that's
guys,
right.
everyone is listening right now on the Meetup, you can submit all those on the Red Hat Enable Sysadmin, and they can publish it for you. So that's really
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah, so I can add one thing to that. So
Uh,
I was involved with opensource.com, still involved with opensource.com
yeah.
and
Mm,
in a system in because if you're like really passionate about open source, it's not just about the code. You can contribute the code over the course. But the
Correct.
way I have
Yeah.
been active with the open source community is through the writing blog
mm,
and the
Mm-mm.
presentation. So there are different ways to get involved. And then again,
Yep.
as Joseph and Michael say, it's not you don't have to be necessarily in Red Hat. Because if you're passionate
mm.
about writing about open source and contribute to that, that's definitely one way to go around it. So if you just visit opensource.com, hey, I have an idea. So I want to write
Yeah.
about it, whether it is about some open source project you're already working on or something you're interested in, just write about it. And then it's not, you
Correct.
don't have to be necessarily good in English because I met people from all over the places who become open source.com correspondent. I meet people
Sweet.
from Sydney, Australia, Canada, and the British United Kingdom. So you don't have to necessarily be in the United States. So as long as you're
Yeah.
passionate about it, you can just submit, and there'll be reviewers and then just moderators actually were looking into that your article for review. So then
Mm.
they get back to you with the feedback. So then you can go from there. So I definitely encourage people to check out and opensource.com and also search for Red Hat Enable System in because that's definitely a
Correct.
good blog website.
And it's one way to collaborate, right? So it's not just through Meetup, it's not just through your team, but you can share your knowledge through the world through those articles. So it will be fun, definitely. And actually, on that note, I will hand over the mic to you, Brian, so that you can proceed with your presentation about
Okay.
GitHub Actions.
Okay, so let me start sharing and let me
Great.
make sure because I'm using the wide screen. I have two different monitor. So let me know if this somehow is too big to you. Is it? I tested with this previously. It looked okay, but let me know if this looks okay to you guys. Good?
Yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Or
Fine.
perfect,
Cool.
perfect. So I'm based in Dallas, Texas. So I guess for me it's a good evening, but it's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone. So and hello from howdy from Dallas, Texas. So hello y'all. So today's topic I'm going to talk about Red Hat OpenShift in an action. I meant GitHub Actions. So before proceed further, you never have demo later, which is what you guys all excited about. Some people don't like the presentation deck, but don't worry about it. I'll definitely get to the demo part later, which is exciting part. So I want to give a little introduction to myself first, so you guys get to know me a little better. And feel free to stop any questions. I think it's going to, right now I'm sharing my slides, so it's going to be hard to see. So maybe a mic or Joseph has to stop me because I can hear it. But anyway, let me introduce myself. So I guess it's not my formal title is not an AutoCAD, but I will be kind of on the service side. I transitioned to GitHub about just a few weeks back, and then so I now working in the GitHub, which is still very open source heavy community. So before Red GitHub, I was a former senior consultant in Red Hat. I've been about a little close to 2-3 years. So I've been working with a different client, working on mostly OpenShift, but also worked on the 3Scale, which is API management tool at Red Hat, and also the Ansible and the many different things. And also I'm certified in OpenShift and also RHCSA, that's a Red Hat Certified System Administrator. And I'm also currently president founder of a Korean American IT Association, KAITA. I found about it close to 4 years ago. I'm really passionate about it. But this is what I'm mostly like doing my kind of side job, because hosting the meetings and things like that when I'm not outside of my work, because I just like to mentor people and then help them and then doing different things. I like to connect people together. I was born in South Korea, so you can kind of hear my accent, but living in Dallas, Texas for more than 23 years. I consider myself a Texan. So I guess I went to school in Austin, but I've been pretty much, I've seen how the Dallas, Texas is growing so much. I'm really excited about it. If I really wanted to move to San Francisco or New York, now it's that this place is getting gentrified, so everything is really becoming better and better. Let's just wait for a few more years and see how it goes. And also, I graduated from UT Austin with a degree in aerospace engineering, and with my also in computer science. I did a minor in business. So I kind of went to school for long years just to undergraduate, but I'm really proud of that. I'm still from UT Austin. I'm Longhorn, if you guys know it. So I usually work out a lot. I work out almost every day for 2-3 hours. Never did like miss a single day. I'm a caffeine addict. I start with my morning with the glass of orange juice and also Monster or the cold brew. I drink like 3-4 coffees per day. And I'm always a proactive learner. Even during the weekend, I go out to learn something, or doing something with the kaita, or just to always do something to improve myself. And I enjoy doing that, because I think the only way to prepare for the world is to just to grow, keep investing in myself, and then give it back to the community. So if you guys want to find about me, there's my website, which I don't have not updated for a while, but also there's my YouTube website, which has a lot of posting with the presentation I did before, and also my personal blog website. But without further ado, let's go to move on to the actual fun part. So this part, as you see, that is, as you can kind of guess from the title, is combining OpenShift with GitHub Action. You can see my few friends there, and hello Mona. Her name is Mona, and you can see that with the Mona with the fedora head, and you can see. But I think the idea behind OpenShift is that it is the most widely popular enterprise-ready Kubernetes. So if you guys know about Kubernetes is orchestration platform for container and other things. So Kubernetes is popular, is open source, and OpenShift is also open source based. But if you go to any enterprise, really the OpenShift is widely used anywhere. Not just about by itself, but it can be deployed as Mike mentioned here before. It can be deployed to any cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, or on-prem. So most likely, for some customers using, or one company is using, say we're using AWS, most likely they're going to have a OpenShift on top of it, because it can help with the DevOps process, it can help with the application deployment process, and many different things. And it simplify the process so easy and then simple to use, while providing security and then all this infrastructure you need at the same time. So it's a really great way of doing it, and a lot of customers doing it, and that's what I mostly worked on when I was in the Red Hat. So now let's talk about GitHub Action. So I only have one slide for the OpenShift, but we'll come back to that later, because this is kind of like, because I did have more slide prepared for that. So we'll go through that quickly. So idea behind GitHub Action is it's basically DevOps pipeline. DevOps is a way to automate things, deploy things frequently and also securely, and things, etc., etc. There are different DevOps pipeline you can use. You probably know about Jenkins. You probably heard about Travis CI or Argo, Harness, the many different Tecton, and the many different DevOps pipeline out there. But GitHub Action is that it's built into the GitHub. It can do things in in a simple way. It can, just like any other DevOps pipeline, it can automate everything. It has a built-in packages, which is kind of like a container image registry. You can build it and just deploy it as living within the GitHub. And then it can also help with the standardized and scale best practices, usually what the enterprise is looking for, and is a community standard for automation. So right now, I believe that we just, I guess, don't know how they would track it, is the #1 CI platform in the GitHub from continuous integration perspective. And there's a 125 million jobs per month. And there's a different actions, which is called as a GitHub Actions, which a customer built, and you can build it yourself too, to actually explore, and then they can help to actually connect many different applications. And one of them is OpenShift. So there are different partners or customers or just tools that can be integrated with the GitHub Action. As you can see, the OpenShift is one of them, but it can also be has a GitHub Action built by AWS, Google Cloud, Datadog, Tuluload, and Docker, many other things. And again, you can build it yourself too. So there are many things, many like a GitHub Action. You can already leverage that. If not, well, you can make it yourself. That's always a possibility. And again, the idea is to automate everything. It has a really nice UI. You can build it right inside the GitHub. And it's very, very powerful and flexible CI/CD. It's basically whatever language you use, where it is about you are using the Mac OS or Linux or the Node.js or Ruby for any programming runtime that can be integrated easily and support all kinds of languages built into the GitHub agent. And it can scale easier on any cloud. So it's from like again, you saw the previous slide. It has different partners, publishers who built it for the GitHub Action. So, but the best part, of course, is combine the GitHub Action with the Red Hat OpenShift. And let me tell you why it's the best. So GitHub Action is really easy and the powerful ways to run DevOps pipeline, and OpenShift is really enterprise ready, most popular Kubernetes platform in the enterprise. So how we can combine that? So this is before going right into the demo, which you will see soon. This is really all you need pretty much. There are some missing like property, but basically there is GitHub Action built for Red Hat GitHub Action is already a marketplace. It can have a GitHub agent, which is come with those things built in. You can just simplify Red Hat -action/OC-login and provide it, and the secret is securely stored in GitHub. And then they can help to log into the GitHub OpenShift. And then what we are going to use is the Red Hat -actions hosting UF using the source to image process. So those who are not familiar with the source to image is a OpenShift way of combining the source code in repository and then combine with the binary like container images. In our case, we're going to use the Node.js, Java, to combine it to create a builder packages. And then they can help to deploy right to the OpenShift. It's just everything is just going to be automated. So any questions so far before going to demo?
I think we're all good. I think they're excited about the demo.
Okay, so let me close out this. And let me bring my other screen. And again, let me know if the screen looks too small or whatever. So it looks beautiful?
If you can zoom in further.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's good, Mike. Yep.
Yeah. So this is a GitHub Action Marketplace. Just want to show kind of before going to actual demo. Let's just give it a kind of overview. So you can search for GitHub Action Marketplace, and you can see that all different kind of things that people build, companies build. If you wanted to search for something that companies build, you can just select the verify. They only select the one that is verified. So let's search for Red Hat. The one that we are looking at is two different things. Yes, you can see there are a lot of Red Hat Action built already. So you can leverage that. There's a builder, and then there's the one for the Ansible separate things. You can search for Ansible. But we're going to leverage the OpenShift login and also the OCNU app, which is deploying application to the OpenShift. So this, when you click it, you'll see the documentation available. All the things I'm going to kind of show you is kind of, you can follow that in the same way. So as you can see, this kind of things, all the things you require for basically to make a GitHub Action and implement a GitHub Action. So on the other side, I got this OpenShift cluster from my good friend Mike. So here's my OpenShift cluster. I'm logging in as admin, but this is the web interface for OpenShift. Some of you guys may be familiar. So I can use this, but I can also use a CLI. So let's see. I'm going to use the CLI because I'm comfortable with that. So let me bring it there first. Okay. Is it good enough? Can you guys see it?
All right. Zoom further, please. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to zoom in. Okay. Is it good?
Maybe a little larger. Yeah.
Really larger. Make sure.
Yeah. I think that's good enough.
Okay, perfect. So I'm logging to CLI already. I'm going to create a new project. Okay. I'm going to say there's going to be the GitHub Action demo. Okay. Action demo. So this way I'll create a new project. So when I do OC get all, you don't see any things at the moment because I didn't deploy any resource yet. So what I'm going to do is that there's different ways to log into the GitHub Actions. So what I'm going to do is that so we need to store the secret inside the GitHub, and then we can use our administration or our username password, but that's not secure. And another thing is, if you have to, maybe you can use another ways you can store token, but token is only temporarily expired after a while. So what we're going to use is we're going to create a service account, which is kind of like acting as a robot users and then token that is going to stay there unless somebody revoke it. So we're going to create a new service account. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say I'm going to say export, let's say, and GitHub Actions. Okay. That's going to be our name for a service account. So this is just storing environment variable. And we're going to say also create a service account and then call name SA. So now when we do that, this will create a service account called GitHub Action SA. Okay, so that's our service account we're going to use. So now inside there, we're going to have the secret that we can use. So get OYAML secret and GitHub Actions SA. Oh, not secret. This is going to be SA. So it's gonna be we're gonna extract the secret from here, as you can see, GitHub SA here and etc. So what we're gonna do is export secret name, and one we're gonna choose. So one is for the logging into container images, but one that we want is one for as a service account. So we're gonna just copy that and then do that. So and secret name gonna be that. So now we're gonna extract the token out of it. Let me copy and paste the command to make it easier. So that's going to be token, okay? So encoded token. This will be logging into our OpenShift with this service account. So there's it. And so we can say export token is going to be export token going to be echo encoded token. Yeah, and then we have to encrypt it with the base 64 because we don't want to just use a plain one. So and echo here. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna copy this. Again, our secret service account is inside our project. This project we just created. So now when we go back to our OpenShift, you can see that there's GitHub Actions demos here. That's the one that we just created. And when we search it for service account, when you go search for account, you can see we have just created one right here. So now we copy this token. Let me go back to the terminal. Where's the terminal? Yeah. We copy this token. Just want to make sure that I can copy without any there. And here's our repo I created just for the purpose. some things are already set up, so I can walk through the pipeline next. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to store the secret. We need to store the GitHub secret that actually authenticate it, and also to be able to say point to that this is a server URL. So when you go to settings, there is going to be secret there. You can also try this yourself. I kind of created this already, but I'm going to just override it. I'm going to say that OpenShift token is, you're going to just use that, which is the service account token we used. And OpenShift server, the one we want to use is the one for the API. So I have that handy. I can also use this ones to say OC, who am I, and then kind of see, and then to that you can get server that way. But let me get the let me use the one for the GitHub Actions, the server. So that is what I'm gonna use. Okay, that's all you need to do. So now there are different ways to let's say run the pipeline, and there's a way to do it with just a pull request, or there's a way to do it just the commit, or even you can label things. But typically the structure that we're going to have is that under your, so if you can have the enabled action, by the way, to be able to see it. So when you go to settings, there's a way to enable and disable actions. And then in my case, I allow all actions. So I think by default, it might disable that. So you need to enable that. So once you do that, you will see the just action tab right there. So once you have that, what we're going to do is that you have to click, create a URL and call it .github/workflows. And I already created one. So let me walk through the code step a little bit. So this is just the name I give to this OpenShift action, GitHub action, and then workflow dispatch is kind of giving, say, hey, do you want to run this or not? There's different ways to do that. So basically, whenever I push and commit, this will run it. Okay. And there's a jobs. So in jobs, you define what you do. And then in this case, I'm going to say this name I'm going to call OpenShift jobs. This can be whatever you want. GitHub has a concept of agent. So by default, it provides Ubuntu and Windows, and you can look it up. But basically, what I'm going to use is Ubuntu, the latest Ubuntu. There's also options to build your own self-hosted agent. A lot of enterprises will prefer to do that because for security purpose and other things, they might prefer to do that. So you can build your self-hosted agent if you want to go follow that way. And this is what we're going to modify because we just create a different namespace. This is a namespace we're going to use. And the image we're going to use is we're going to say this is on the Quay.io, this example, and this is app port. We're going to open it, and we're going to call this name is Peculi. But really important things comes in whenever we look at the steps part. So we're going to use basically we're going to check out the code, action/checkout. And another step, we're going to log into OpenShift. This is a server we just provided, and this is token we just provided with the service account. And there's a test namespace, which is a project namespace for OpenShift that's going to leading as environment variable, while other things are leading as secret. So you can store the secret in your settings in GitHub, while you can also provide an additional environment like this. If you guys are familiar with the concept of config map in OpenShift, there's a secret and config map. You can think in kind of similar way. So then once I logged in, I can just evoke this OC new app, which is a source image process to pick up from the source code, which is here, and then build and deploy application. So only thing we need to modify is we need to, we just got this GitHub Action demo, right? So we need to make sure that we modify that. So that's going to be our test namespace. Okay. Now I'm going to start commit. I'll do that directly. Oh, because I didn't make any changes, so that's going to be exactly the test demo, right? So I'm going to commit right away. So now, when you check out action, there is kicking off right away. So as you can see, just happened just now. You can see the timestamp, and I can click here. And let's see. Now we can just see what's going to happen. Okay. So we have some error, the GitHub Action demo. It might be because, okay, I think I know what's happening. So it's maybe because that service account. There's one more step I forgot to do. Let me do one thing. So we need to give that that specific SA account we just created. We're gonna give that policy. So policy add role to user and edit and then Z and then SA. So now we have the cluster load is added. So we need to do that. I forgot to do that. Sorry about that. So let me try it again and run it one more time. So another great way is that you can just go back and then you can also do rerun job. That's a possibility. So this tech going to be starting soon. Progress, as you can see, you can see progress in this way. Yep. Yep. The magic happened. Now, so all things are done from the GitHub Actions side. Now, when you go here, and you can see the pod start running. And then all the deployment, typical resource you expected. And when we go to the route, there you go. Yeah, so that's the main part of the demo I wanted to show you. But as I guess, so one thing I mentioned before was that there is a way to say self-host agent. To find that, you go to settings. There is an easy way to host to self-host learner. And then when you just click add a learner, you just follow this instruction, and there will be additional documentation needed on the GitHub website that can help you to build action, self-hosted action learner by yourself. So if just the GitHub Action, I guess it has a different kind of agent. I guess so it's Ubuntu and Windows. But if you want to build it yourself, particularly for enterprises, kind of you want to make sure you run in a secure environment. So in that case, really only the cost is also whatever the infrastructure provided to host this GitHub Action Learner. So that's a really great way to make sure that your application running in a safe environment and doesn't it costs a lot of things for your company. So, but that's GitHub Action has again for I think that has a pretty a lenient limit. You can multiple times, and you can just free to explore. And that's pretty much it for the demo. Yeah. Anything? Yeah. So that's it. Any question? Now I can take any questions you guys have. Stop sharing.
Feel free to share your questions on the Q&A box, I guess.
Yeah, let me go back to my Zoom just to make sure I'm reading right.
Yep.
Cool.
Hey, Brian, we do have a question from Mike. He said that it's actually quite impressive. And but what are the complications it might face when we try to connect it to on-prem OpenShift or Kubernetes?
So I would just say on-prem, let's see. So I would say that, of course, the different one thing that definitely comes to my mind is the network issue. So if that on-prem environment, say, so it's when you consider from networker perspective, you have to say which port is open and from ingress perspective. So of course, the clouds, even for public cloud like AWS, GCP, and Azure, you have to make sure that you have to define security groups and make sure networker policy only allows certain port because you want to expose every different port for the internet, right? So definitely that from network security perspective, I did also, when I worked in Red Hat before, there's a customer using Tigera, which is a really intricate network policy tool for the Kubernetes. So there was has to be some work around to make sure that we work for the Kubernetes and other thing I was trying to implement it, which was code-ready workspace at the time. So definitely the network and security part. Network security part is going to be definitely one of your like hurdles to make sure this work. But otherwise, I would just say that GitHub Actions has provided, as long as you can make those things work around, that's definitely provided some really ways to connect it, and then should have no problem. So that's what you haven't seen so far is called the GACC, which is a Google, not GitHub in cloud, right? But if you want to deploy this on on-prem environment or any other environment, there's also GACES available, which is a GitHub Enterprise server that can be deployed anywhere. So if you want to just run it in the very like a specific environment that's contained and isolated, that's another option you can consider, because you can deploy GACC in on-prem, for example, and then they may OpenShift in the same a kind of network defined VPC. In that case, you can make it sure they talk to each other and then go from there. But definitely, a security network would be the number one concern if you go through that specific on-prem route. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that question, Mike. And I think, Brian, one of the questions most people would ask would probably, how is GitHub different from the other CI/CD tools that we have right now? What differentiates GitHub Actions?
Yeah, so I've been dealing with many different DevOps pipeline tools before. First thing is being Jenkins, of course, which is kind of what started DevOps movement first time, right? So Jenkins has a long history before some microsystem was acquired by the Oracle. It was originally called the Hudson, then split in, and then Oracle ported into the Hudson, then later become Jenkins, and then there's company using the Jenkins that I think do that. But so Jenkins was great for the CI kind of part, continuous integration part. But now we are moving toward the DevOps area where the CI is different from the CD. Continuous integration about building the source code and building the binary packages, while the CD is how to make those things deploy in the cloud or the server, et cetera, right? Continuous delivery, continuous deployment. So I would just say that the key things what the GitHub Action, how it will be shine among all the other things out there, like Argos, Harness, and other things, things out there, is that it's really following the approach of a GitOps. GitOps meaning that it is basically the Git and as using the Git as a source of everything, source of truth, right? So because GitOps is the most popular source code management out there, having the DevOps tool built in right into that really simplify things and then make it the developers to do the practice to using the GitOps in the best way. Because I use a Jenkins and Azure DevOps pipeline, many different things, but the GitHub Actions is really the best way to do with the practice GitOps. And another thing is you can see from my demo, you saw how simple it is. I didn't even have to download any tool, although I did it for OpenShift and other things, right? You can just build it and code it right there and then deploy, and that can take only a few minutes, right? And that's just simple ways to introduce DevOps to any your developer and your people in the team. Anyone, even students can do that, right? So they're just seeing that in right there and just click a button and just few lines of code and then making it the DevOps happen. I did a test with not just with this, but use of the Azure and the GCP and AWS, right? Those customers, another great point about the GitHub Action is that those customers built it to integrate with the GitHub Action right away. I just like how you've seen for the OpenShift, I was able to deploy just all these provisions the Azure virtual machine, AWS easily right inside the GitHub Action without using any Terraform and whatever, right? Although you can also integrate Ansible and Terraform and many other infrastructure as a service, configuration service tool to do many different powerful things. But those tools are all built inside GitHub Action and it's available at Marketplace to make things easy and then easy to do the practice DevOps. And one last thing is that the reason why I would just say that GitHub Action is great is because GitHub is really famous among developers, right? Just like how Red Hat is really awesome for operation and enterprise. So I think they really go well together.
Yeah, this is a really good follow-up session. I mean, Meetup topic, because last month we just discussed GitOps on Meetup on our March 2021 Meetup. So it kind of ties it all together with GitOps and now GitHub Actions. But you mentioned it was quite simple to do it, but a lot of the questions would probably be hold on, let me just check this initial question.
Yeah.
So I'll ask this question first from Brent.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Brent. And he said, how has your experience been in repos with frequent commits? So the frequency, the frequent commits and long-running CI/CD jobs. So the frequent commits and long-running CI/CD jobs, particularly while using blue-green deployment.
Yeah.
How was your experience on that?
Yeah, so the blue-green deployment, so some of you guys may know, and some of you guys may not. So I will just give you like one simple, like one-liner for what the blue-green is, right? It's kind of similar to its way of deploying something, how to safely deploy to production environment, because you don't want to test and run in production, right? You always want a separate stage, right? Because so you have to do it safely develop in the DevOps developer environment, and then make sure that it's flexible enough, but you can just fail many times because it's a safe environment, right? You just want to increase code deployment and commit, and then you do it in testing, and then make sure it's safe there first. When you go production, you just want to go and deploy there, right? Because you don't want a production go down any time. You want it 24 hours, 365 days. So a lot of practice like DevOps and other things just formed because of that. So the blue-green kind of formed the idea. I think it was also from the Martin Fowler, which is really kind of known for the agile practice, right? But also many different great practice like circular break pattern, and then many other things, and the canary deployment. Blue-green deployment is kind of having the idea that, okay, so there is an idea that we're in this has to be about to deploy, which is the blue zone, and then whenever going to the green zones, it has to run and find. So how to securely separate the blue environment from the green environment. So that's kind of my I guess short explanation about the blue-green deployment.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. So I would just say that from the frequent commit perspective, of course, you want to kind of increase that frequency, but how do you want to secure it? That's always the first questions to ask. How do you balance between the deployment, many deployment, and also about secure it at the same time? So I think it's really kind of goes down into how more onto the architecture side, right? So of course, because you can, I guess the thing is that, how you just even separating CI and CD, that's one thing, right? So how you architect things is there can be different ways you can really get into the beds, like technical burden, technical depth, right? So first thing is doing the right architecture, just no matter what kind of tool you use, right? Whether it's a GitHub Action or the Jenkins, you cannot avoid that. You have to make sure it's designed, architected in the right way, right? But as far as its GitHub Action goes in the frequent commit and long running, it definitely increased number of deployment because, as you can see, it's so easy to do. If there's less hurdles to learn and to learning curve, it definitely increased developer joy of doing it, because I've been into situation before where I have to onboard with just so many different tools, so many steps, so many permissions, just get things done. Well, of course, operation people hate it. That's too much, that's you guys destroying things, right? That's what DevOps is for. How to provide secure environment developers so they can do it. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys ever read the book by Jim Kim, called Phoenix Project and the Unicorn Project, I definitely encourage you to read it, because talk about how DevOps project and Phoenix, what DevOps process can do for your team and company. But so the ability about the GitHub Action doesn't allow us to a frequent deployment, and then even for then how do you make sure that it's secure and then is also stable, aligned enough, right? So then it's GitHub by itself provide the code QL for the security vulnerability scanning for the packages and the source code, and also has a dependable whenever you check in source code and you have the version dependency, which is kind of difficult to have some kind of vulnerability there, right? It automatically kind of given trigger and then give like notification to you, right? Just by doing that, you can already the security is already built in right there, right? And then you can also easily introduce testing code, automate testing and those things. So by providing how to deploy frequently, and how to securely secure your code, and how to test it frequently. And then, with the GitHub Action Marketplace and GitHub Apps, you can just integrate easily and deploy there, right? That definitely increase the deployment time, right? While also using a blue-green approach, it can also secure and doing different things. And you probably saw that like one of my slide called the GitHub packages, right? That's like image registry built in right into GitHub. So if you wanted to practice CI, which is really important for blue-green deployment, because you want to build into package at first, and then deploy into this environment like OpenShift or Cloud later, those already separate the process. So I don't think there's I would say there's a lot of different tools out there for DevOps pipeline, but I think GitHub Action just to provide that kind of blue-green deployment approach from the start. And again, Microsoft is kind of supporting behind that, so there's a lot of things that already keep progressing and further, and then keep evolving. Yeah.
Great question. Thanks for that, Brent. And hopefully Brian was able to comprehensively answer that question. But yeah, Brian, you mentioned security, and that's always one thing that we are very concerned about. For GitHub Actions, what are the security mechanisms in place that you can share with everyone?
Yeah, so I kind of touch upon that. So like back in I only know a little bit about that. So first thing is, of course, like if you'd ever like checking code before, if like it says token or other things, there's already built-in mechanism that kind of give a warning at you, right? I believe that that's due to something called Dependabot, which is a company that GitHub bought before. I think that's just saying they look in the version, and there's Dependabot is looking at the version dependency, something is vulnerable, and also looking for token, and then actually give say, hey, this kind of looks dangerous, right? So you have to be make sure that this get kind of addressed before doing anything else. And there's also code QL. I think this is from there was a USB company called Semo, which is kind of code scanning from the programming perspective. You look at the source code, and then I think GitHub bought it a while back, and then just looking at it, and then it kind of look at the source code and see everything that you can improve upon that. The great thing is that is based on the code, you can actually build your own code QL kind of ways to say check for any kind of vulnerability or bad practice. So you can build into that and embed it into the GitHub or GitHub Actions, right? To make sure that it's also make sure that all the things are securely provided. And then really from GitHub administration perspective, from where is RBAC, where is this authorization, authentication, everything kind of built it with the developer perspective and also operation perspective. Those things are already very, very heavily and then really integrated into the GitHub itself. So those things are already integrated. Last thing is that just again coming back to the GitHub Action, right, and GitHub App. If you look at the GitHub Action Marketplace, tomorrow or today, there are check marks and then many different security tools you can leverage from right on the fly. You can just integrate the GitHub Action, just how we use for the OpenShift, just right into GitHub Actions pipeline script, and then make sure that those things learn before you do anything kind of deployment perspective. So I would say that whether it's about authorization, authentication, single sign-on, or RBAC, or anything for security code secure code perspective, everything is pretty much built in with those kind of things. Already thought about it, so and then design it, and then I think there's things already available to you right away when you start with the GitHub Action and GitHub.
Sweet, thanks for Brian. We have several minutes left for your questions. Brent was saying, oh, he got it, and he said use it as an automation layer over your existing CI/CD tools. So that's from Brent. And a few minutes more for your questions. And just before we end, I would just like to send requests if you have any topics that you want us to cover for the meetup. And if you want to present, feel free to contact us as well. And I'm pretty sure if you have any other follow-up questions from Brian, you know where to find him. Just search his name, and it's all over the place, medium.com, opensource.com, and his own website, of course. So, yeah. Alrighty. If you guys don't have any questions, I think we're good to wrap things up. And again, thank you so much, Brian, for your time. We definitely learned a lot. Such a cool demo. Hold on, let's see. There's a follow-up question, I guess. All right. So Mike was commenting he would love to see this in action for the IoT space, but I think security and connectivity are the two major areas of concern. We have a lot of remote areas in New Zealand which might use some automation but lack connectivity. So he said he's a bit concerned about security and connectivity. Those are his major areas of concern.
Yeah, my short answer, because I don't want to trade too long, is that when you talk about IoTs, we're talking about edge cloud and different things. Of course, that like learning something like a GAC, you have to connect to the like GAC, Google GitHub, so that might be a little heavy. And then because you have to keep talking to that, you cannot really, I guess, install GHC, but edge cloud and IoT area in general, I think it's an evolving space that a lot of the companies working on. And that's definitely something that I heard when I joined the GitHub as well. So that's something that I know that also Red Hat is heavily involved with the investing in there, right? But I believe that there are definitely good things coming along the way, because a lot of a smart mind in everywhere is thinking about it, how to make it into the edge cloud and IoT space. So I'm pretty sure that all these great tools and technology companies out there will make it possible, make it happen.
That's right, and everything's pretty much evolving fast nowadays. So I won't be surprised if that's coming. And on that note, thank you so much again, Brian. Thank you for your time. Be safe, take care out there in Texas, and it would be nice to have you again at some point in time. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure having you on the Meetup. And to all our listeners out there, thank you so much again, and join us again in the next month Meetup for OpenShift, and be safe, and just have a good weekend ahead. Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me. Bye-bye.